Always want to know where viewers are from and how long you have been either with your significant other or engaged or married. All right, here we go. Welcome, you guys. Come on in. Courage and humility. James chapter 4, verse 6 says, "And he gives grace generously. As the scriptures say, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. To act like Jesus is to be humble. Did you get that? To act like Jesus is to be humble. You guys, we are called to try our best to be as Christ-like as we possibly can. And so we're called to be humble in order to be more like Christ. When couples are gridlocked in conflict, determined to win an argument or to prove a point, it's easy to forget that you're on the same team. This is easy for me to forget that we're on the same team. If one or both individuals cling to their pride, there's no space for compromise. While pride worries about self, humility honors the whole relationship. You guys ever just get into a moment where you're like, well, they did that, so I'm going to respond like this. Well, they said that, and so I'm going to say this. And it's our pride that wells up in those moments. It's that thought that maybe we're better than our spouse is, at least in this situation, because they did that. And so if they're going to do that, then they deserve for me to do or respond in the way that I want to. And that's not true. And I have to tell you, this was me this weekend. I was upset with my husband for something, and I was determined that I was going to respond in a way that was kind of a jab. And I have a daughter who's 24. She's married, and we love her and we love her husband. And I was telling her, like, I'm so mad at your dad about this thing. And it was something so silly and ridiculous. And I said, I just want to say this. And she said, Mom, what would you tell me? You would tell me no, that I can't do that I can't say that. And she was right. And I had to take a step back, even in my pride with her. And I don't even know that I acknowledged to her face that she was right, but I took her advice. Hey, girls. But I took her advice. And my husband and I had a great conversation, and he apologized, and all was well in the world. So, to be humble in our relationships with the Lord, to be humble in our relationships with our spouses, and to be humble in our relationships even with our children. And so I owe her a very big thankful for putting me in my place and reminding me what kind of a wife I'm supposed to be. But humility, pride worries about self, and humility honors the whole relationship. So are you honoring your marriage with your own humility? When thinking about the lesson from this verse, I'm reminded of my clients, Susie and Ernie. When they came to see me, Susie felt she was competing for Ernie's attention with his various hobbies. She expressed her feelings. You never want to spend time with me anymore. You seem married to that machine. Ernie felt attacked, and he often responded with sarcasm, further distancing himself. His behavior triggered Susie's fear of rejection, and so the cycle continues. Anybody else? Anybody else get a little snippy when your feelings are hurt or when you're feeling rejected? Struggle to maybe say what you need to say in a way that's going to be beneficial, right? You never want to spend time with me anymore. You seem married to that machine. That's Susie saying, you're not paying attention to me and I miss you. But saying it in a way that is hurtful and prideful rather than in humility. What if each partner was willing to reflect and see how their behavior contributed to the disconnect? Do you ever step back in the conflict that you're in and go, how did my behavior help us get to this spot? I know my husband or my spouse didn't respond the way that I was hoping, but But what did I do? How did I maybe respond in a way that they weren't hoping, or that wasn't humble, or that was prideful in their eyes? What could I do? Both partners had overlooked opportunities to extend grace to one another, to step outside of their own perspective, to slow down and see how they added value and meaning to their shared life together. You guys, when we're angry, when we're upset about something, we don't want to stop, right? We don't want to stop and think about how we may be wrong. It's easy to acknowledge how our partner is wrong, but to stop and look at ourselves and say, how could I do that different? What am I doing? How can I add value to the life that I'm sharing with my spouse instead of removing that value and creating disconnect? God calls us to move away from our stubborn and selfish tendencies into a space where we can practice compassion. Compassion. When we're willing to recognize and take ownership of our prideful contributions to a conflict, we plant seeds for a generous, loving, and selfless relationship to begin to grow. I'm going to pray real quick, and then we're going to jump straight into the exercise. What exercise can we use to help us to become more humble in the midst of a conflict when it's the most difficult to be humble? It says, God, help us recognize our pride and remind us to embody your humility. Help us extend grace to one another and give us the courage to admit when we're wrong. May your compassion for all your people help us to act in love and not ego. In your name we pray. Amen. We've got 2 exercises that you guys can choose from. So if you want to throw your vote into the comment, that would be greatly appreciated. The first one is giving a sincere apology. That's exercise number 1, or choice number 1. And choice number 2 is an activity called How Well Do You Know Your Partner? How well do you know your partner in giving a sincere apology? Which option, which action or activity would you like us to go over together right now? Put that in the comments so I know which way. Otherwise, I'll choose one. I'd way rather hear from y'all. Anybody over on Facebook or on TikTok? Nobody with an opinion? I can't even imagine a social media without an opinion. All right, let's go, you guys. Let's jump over to giving a sincere apology. Giving a sincere apology. If you're following along and you have the Pray More, Fight Less book, we are jumping over to page 134. If you don't have the book and you'd like the book, follow the link in the shop, and you can get a copy for yourself. All right, here we go, you guys. Page 134, giving a sincere apology. This is going to take about 15 minutes or longer. Okay, so if you're going to work in this exercise, allocate about 15 minutes or longer. It's useful for making amends, resolving conflict, and strengthening the relationship. The 3 areas that you're going to jump into. Okay, we all make mistakes. We all say things that we wish we could take back, and we have difficulty righting a wrong, right? That's just being human. There isn't one of us that can say we do that perfectly. Asking God for guidance before apologizing can help pave the road to restoring a damaged relationship. So right away, when we know there's conflict, we want to invite the Lord into that. We want to invite His grace into that, allowing us to extend grace to those that we care about. So here we go. Step 1, define the offense. What is wrong? What did you do wrong? What is the offense against your spouse? Maybe it's a 2-part. Maybe you both need to be apologizing, but one of you's got to step up and be the bigger person first. One of you's got to step up and start the apology in the first place, right? Sorry, my dogs are barking. Step 1, define the offense. Discuss and come to a shared understanding of the behaviors that caused harm. Listen that we didn't say behavior. It's behaviors, more than one. typically more than one. Step 2, acknowledge the offense. Recognize your partner's feelings because of the offense. Be willing to sit with their feelings of embarrassment, of pain, of discomfort. You guys, when we're coming with an apology, there's negative feelings attached in some way, shape, or form. Don't belittle those feelings of your own or of your spouse. Make sure you're willing to listen and acknowledge those before you are ready to move forward in that, okay? Step 3, admit without excuses. Take responsibility for the hurtful actions or the inactions without excuses or providing the defense. How many times do we go into an apology and say, hey, I'm really sorry, but, and then it's followed by an excuse. I'm really sorry that I yelled at you, but you blah, blah, blah. I'm really sorry that I hurt you, but you did this that hurt me, that made me hurt you back. Unbothered, I try not to do that. Good. Keep working on that, because I'm telling you, it is not easy to accomplish, but it can be done. 95% of the time, apologies are followed by a but. 95% of the time. We're excusing the behavior that we're apologizing for. And what happens in that moment? As soon as that but comes out, our spouse has a rebuttal. And the conflict cycles back around again. And we keep going and we keep going and we keep going. Apologize without the but, okay? Admit without excuses. Step 4, sincerely. That is key word. Sincerely provide an apology. I'm sorry is a necessary part of an apology. Approach it with a genuine emotion and authenticity. You can't just say, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Sorry that hurt you. Sorry I yelled at you. Right. None of those come across genuine. None of those come across as showing that you're actually sorry or showing that you care about the person's feelings that you're talking to. We want to continue on with that thought a little bit further, right? I'm sorry. I apologize for XYZ. It was wrong of me to XYZ. I take responsibility for XYZ. I feel really terrible. I should not have XYZ. Avoid starting with that but. Avoid starting with I'm sorry, but. All that is justification for the actions that you chose to put out. No one made you. You chose to. Step 5. Faithful Fifi. Hit me in my DMs and I will be happy to explain that to you. My website is sweethoneycoaching.com and I would love to work with you guys. But DM me if you'd like, and that way I can personally reach out to you. You guys, step 5. Okay, step 5. Commit to change. You can't just say, I'm sorry, I know that I shouldn't have, or I'm sorry, please forgive me for, and then do it again tomorrow. How do we commit to change? I'm going to share something with you guys. My husband and I have this kind of cyclical argument that tends to come up every once in a while. Okay, it comes up every once in a while. We've been married 24 years. So when I say every once in a while, I mean every once in a while over the course of the last 24 years. And we both apologize and we both forgive and we love one another. We love one another really well. And we forgive until the next time it comes up again. And so this last time actually was not that long ago. It came up again and we sat down and I said, you know what? We got to figure out what to change. I'm tired of doing this every so often. over the last 24 years. So what can you do? You come up with what you could do different to keep us out of this cycle. And I'll come up with what I think I can do different to keep us out of this cycle. And then let's talk about it. And so we did that for the first time ever, revolving around this conflict that we have. And we haven't gotten to put it into practice, but we each came up with something. And I so appreciated being able to hear what he came up with and vice versa. And now I feel like there's hope, right? We have a plan of attack. We're going to beat this thing. We're not going to let this thing spiral us into this cyclical conflict all over again. We're going to team up and beat it. That's what we need. We need to commit to change, to be willing to create changes and discuss what the changes are going to look like moving forward. Okay? We have to discuss what they're going to look like in order to make them happen. Faithful Fifi said changing is hard. Changing is hard because we're so stuck in a cycle of what has always been, or what we have always done, or what was shown to us, right? We learn through watching our parents or our guardians or whoever raised us. Their patterns typically become our patterns. And to change them is so hard, but you can do it. Because when you decide and when you put your mind to, and you know that you are part of what needs to change, you can be successful. Last step 6. Keep your word. Continue improving yourself and your behaviors as a proactive method to address any future problems. Okay, you take the problem. This is the first time you've ever heard of this exercise or this activity. So you're going to take this activity and you're going to step in and you're going to do it, and you're going to see that you've made progress. And it might not have been perfect progress, but it was progress nonetheless, right? There might still be a conflict, but the conflict is shorter, or the conflict is less hurtful. And so you're going to see change. And so what you're going to do is you're going to keep the word that you made. You're going to keep that commitment to change, and you're going to keep doing it over and over and over again, while it continues to keep working. So here's a couple tips for this exercise, and then I'm going to let you guys be on your way for today. Here's the tip. Occasionally, both partners need to apologize. Be willing to share the responsibility. Be willing to look inside and outside. Typically, conflicts are not one person. They may have started with one. They typically end with two. And so be willing to look inside. Timing is essential in apologies. Immediacy works best when the offense is minor. When there's a deep pain, a deeper pain, you know that kind. The kind that burns down in your gut and it raises up. That kind of pain. It needs some cooling off, probably. Some processing time in order for the apology to be meaningful. So step into making sure you're allowing the time for the apology to be honest and truthful and humble. Consider your form of an apology, and this is our last tip. Text messages and emails are convenient, but they don't convey emotion very well. The recipient of that text message or that email can read it in any tone that they want, or any tone that they feel. And so if you want to convey a certain message, work on a handwritten or even a verbal apology so that your feelings in that apology can be heard. All right, you guys, that is it for today for Pray More, Fight Less. I want to give you a heads up of what you're coming to next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we're going to be processing jealous emotions. So come in as we talk about jealous emotions. All right, you guys, I am out of here, and I will see you next time. Don't forget, we are working through a mini series right now, Sex is a Gift. Those videos are posted. They're caught up to date today, and we'll continue on for a few more. So go and check them out. And stay engaged. You guys comment, like, do all the things. It just helps get us out there even more. I will be praying for you all, and send me a DM if there's any specific prayer needs that you have. Have a great Tuesday. Bye, everybody.